Where is the wise man? Where is the scholar? Where is the philosopher of this age? Get down! Baltimore!
What are they getting?
Everything out of me. They gonna get a Super Bowl out of me. Believe that. Believe that.
All right, welcome on back to another edition of the Baltimore Beatdown podcast. It is Sunday night, November 27th, 2022. My name is Jake Luke, and I'm joined on my screen by Spencer Nathaniel Schultz, here to break down a not-so-fun one. It was probably fun for the rest of America, but maybe not so much for us. Ravens dropping a tough road game to the Jaguars, 27-28. Crazy game, a lot of different lead changes, a couple turnovers here and there, and Trevor Lawrence, maybe finally looking the part of that number one overall pick that people expect him to be. At least this kind of feels like the first kind of breakout, game on not necessarily a big stage, but in a big game against a big opponent. He really stepped up and played some big boy ball there down the stretch, and really went and won that game for them. On the other side of things, the offense had its issues for the Ravens, but they kind of came alive in the second half, and it had the feel a little bit. And a couple people, myself included, made this comparison of the Giants game, where it felt like certain aspects clicked while the other aspects didn't click, and just an unbalanced game ultimately leads to the Ravens dropping a heartbreaker. So they are now 7-4. Cincinnati gets the win down in Nashville. They are 7-4. Ravens still atop the division with the tiebreaker there, but a tough one to drop today for sure.
It most definitely was. The Ravens on the poor end, and they played a little bit of complimentary football over the last month and weren't able to today ultimately. So a really disappointing loss.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. I mean, like, as far as the overall conversation about it, I think it sort of comes down to, I think it's interesting to me because I think people are really kind of focused on the offense right now. And I've seen you make the point on Twitter about how that's really not fair, and about the fact that they really turned it on there late. And I tend to agree with that, but I'm kind of, I guess, just getting right into it. I'm kind of wondering if we might wake up to the notification that Greg Roman is not going to be employed tomorrow.
I don't think that's going to be the case at all. Harbaugh was super calm about saying, we're going to get it fixed. They did enough to win the game offensively, and sure, they sputtered, and I made my name offensive apologist spend for this stream. So if you're watching, you'll see that. But it was sloppy, and today it was Roman's fault in terms of operations. I think that what they were dialing up was fucking fine all day. And the crux of it came to a head when they go to 4th and 1 in the first half. They're coming out of the huddle with 5 seconds left on a little quarterback. They were starting to run some variation of like triple option, speed option, quarterback sneak situations. And they end up trying to go run to the line and do something. They're not set. They're not ready. They turn the ball over there. So it comes to a head and forces the Ravens to turn the ball over on downs. Then that's when Twitter goes into a mass hysteria. The comments from Harbaugh at halftime, we'll get it cleaned up in the second half. What do? It almost feels like at this point, it came to a point of, it doesn't matter what you call, just call it confidently. And again, I think Roman doubting himself at times or trying to find the perfect call was delaying them, is what it felt like. And in the second half, they come out, they stop doing that. They move the ball effectively. The pass game works to a degree. The run game works. It just, and I'm going to get into the defense and what the defense did and how they didn't play winning football eventually, but it just wasn't the Ravens' day. The Gus Edwards fumble. He is about to bust one, and they wrap around, punch a ball out, get the ball back inside the red zone, and then go score a touchdown. And it's like, okay, that happened. And then the Ravens still overcame it and scored and made a couple stops and force a field goal, things like that. And it just wasn't their day. It was a rain delay game in fucking Florida. And Florida used to be the Ravens' playground and has turned into their torture chamber for whatever reason. And the offense was, I think, abhorrent in the first half, especially in the red zone. And it was, again, it doesn't matter what you're calling to a degree when you have a quarterback like Lamar Jackson. It doesn't even really matter to a degree. You have the X's and O's versus the Joes. It's Joes and Jerry's, or whatever the fuck the phrase is. You have the best Joe. You have the number one Joe to run around and make a play happen if the play doesn't work. So when you start getting calls in a rhythm and on time and having checks for them built in ahead of time that Lamar is comfortable going to with hand signals and giving him enough time to do so, it really doesn't matter. And we get into all this hoopla, the concept, the routes, the passes, the receivers, blah, 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 blah. In the second half, it didn't really matter. Just call something confidently, get to the line, be a unit. And like Jim Caldwell, I've said this 3 times now on this podcast, if everybody just buys into the play, it's more likely to be a successful play, even if it's not the best ideal play call at the end of the day. So they cleaned that up, and I was impressed. And when the Ravens go up 19-10, and then again they score another touchdown to go up 27-20 or whatever it was, I was impressed with the offense shaking off the rust, producing touchdowns, sticking it in the red zone. Lamar Jackson eventually just unleashes a whistling, hairy beast, nuclear Hiroshima ball to Deshaun Jackson. And I was like, had goosebumps. I was like, it was so impressive. And I was so impressed by Lamar specifically overcoming the delay game against a team that's the Jaguars don't really care if they win necessarily, which makes them dangerous. And people are like, why is this a trap game, but not the Panthers? I was like, because it was on the road and it was weird and there was a delay and whatever. And
they've got good efficiency numbers in certain areas too. Like they're
not a bad. You're right. So if you look at exactly to your point, if you look at Football Outsiders, their estimated wins, which means based on how efficient they are, all of those things, they should have been a 5-win team at this point. So they should have been around 500 at this point. So exactly to that. So versus the Panthers are not the Jaguars. The Jaguars are a better football team. Should the Ravens have won? Yes. Am I negating that? No, I'm not trying to make that point, but it was definitely a trap game. And I was like, wow, they overcame all of those woes. That was really cool. And then the Ravens got caught with their pants down defensively twice. So that was an entire other thing. But I mean, I guess this all started with, do we wake up and see Greg Roman gone? I just don't even think Harbaugh cares enough. Like, it comes to a degree, it's like, just run some fucking plays. Like, it doesn't matter who it is. And if he truly thinks he's like Greg Roman, I can't even trust him to say a play, then whatever. And it feels like, again, Greg Roman is a great coordinator, but he is too big-brained of a play caller and trying to do all these different things and motions. And sometimes it's just like, eliminate a little bit of the bells and whistles, and you'll probably be able to be a successful offense when you find yourselves in these little ruts like they're in for basically 6 quarters into the second half of today from last week.
Yeah, it's not, I mean, a lot there. Like, it's not the worst loss to take, I don't think, first of all. So the people that are kind of like losing their shit a little bit, I'm probably not falling as much on their side of things. You know, you're 7-4, you're still first in the division. It's very much to the point. I wasn't like that shocked to see them lose. I think I tweeted before the game. We didn't do a preview because of the holiday. And I tweeted before the game, like, Ravens win a close one, but I'm expecting another unconvincing offensive performance today. And I think my main frustration here with Roman specifically, and what he called an okay game, to your point, like the running game was there in aspects. Like Lamar Jackson, I think, led the way on the ground. I think he had 84 rushing yards or so. Gus, I think he had 3.3 yards per carry. He looked pretty solid. I mean, it's
got Duvernay, a couple carries.
Yeah, he was doing some stuff, mixing in Duvernay, going east-west, which I really liked. But the procedural shit is just, I'm on my last fucking nerve with it. Like, something's got to give here. Like, you can't keep doing that. And then, like, because if you do that and then you have a day where you drop some balls and you have some issues on defense, that can put you in a bad spot really quick, and that can affect you in the red zone, which I think is an issue. You got to get more clinical in the red zone. You got to have more of a killer instinct right now. And they just look like it's not the same 1,000-yard stare type thing that
I think part of being clinical is being ready at the line and getting into that mindset time after time of, there's 3 seconds left. I have to get set. I have to make sure I'm covering someone up. I have to make sure that the play can be snapped because we're up against the clock, versus not having that in your head. You're focused on your read. What do I see in front of me?
You don't get a chance to read the defense. You don't get a chance to see where the soft spots are if you're Mark Andrews. You don't get a chance to say, hey, this is where I'm going to scramble, even if you're Lamar. Like if like things start to like break down a little bit, this is, the X amount of guys are overloaded to this side if I'm the center. Like it's just, there's just so much that you can unlock if you just fucking like stop being your own worst enemy with this stuff. Like you got to figure it out. And like, I'm not necessarily advocating for his firing. I could see it. If Harbaugh wants to make the surprise move and give this offense a jump start in that sense, because as much as people point back to like this has been going on since San Francisco stuff, like I don't know how much of that I really buy into. I feel like you could say that about any offensive coordinator, or at least a lot of them. And to me, it just has been going on for the very least this year way too much. And I'm getting sick of it personally. I get that my opinion doesn't really matter, but it's just like when me, the layman, who just sits down and watches the games for 4 hours. And, I do a little bit of research, obviously, and I cover them to an extent. When I'm kind of noticing that consistently, and like when I'm also like kind of, I wouldn't say I'm like super optimistic, but I'm probably leaning a little bit more on like the optimistic, like they'll figure it out side of things. I'm really getting to that point where it's like something has to give here. And like, I don't know if firing him is the correct answer. I don't know what you do. I don't know if Lamar can do something, because as we can get into with his post-game comments, he's pretty fucking pissed off right now. And I think that probably factors into it a little bit. They just like, and this isn't the first time we've said it this season, they just need a jump start. And I mean, you can only jumpstart an engine so many times.
It just is like they scored 27 points though. Like they didn't like it wasn't like they got embarrassed offensively. They fucking lost the game defensively.
They one of their touchdowns, to be fair.
I mean, sure, but it's just like you let up 18 points in the fourth quarter, and it just is again. I mean,
in terms of the result, you know what I mean? Like it's just something that I just think really needs to be ironed out for the future. Like it's never going to be. We've been talking about it for half a decade now that they get to the line too late, and sometimes it has a little bit of benefit. It's definitely more of a dagger than it is of a positive, the vast majority. But I don't know. I don't know what to say about the offense. I don't feel like talking about the offense because they scored 27 points. They threw a 60-yard pass with the game on the line, went and converted. They get the Jaguars they basically were in full mount on top of the Jaguars with their hands up, 3rd and 21, and just stopped punching and like let the Jaguars wiggle out of it. And it felt like they thought they made a winning play. Justin Houston had comments that basically they stopped communicating, stopped doing this, stopped doing that, tired out, whatever. But it's just like, I just find the incredible annoyance that won't ever stop that Greg Roman is at fault for a game where your defense lets up 18 points in the fourth quarter in crunch time. Could they have been better? Could they have blown the Jaguars out? Absolutely. It's not how the game started. And then their defense melts. And at this point, it's especially frustrating because they had them where they had them with no timeouts, backed up in their own territory. You should have been able to force Trevor Lawrence to get the ball out quickly. The other weird aspect of this entire defensive day is that, and I'm about to pull up a chart, and I might be wrong here, but I don't think Trevor Lawrence completed a ball that was like categorized as a true deep ball at any given point. It was all paper cuts for the most part, and then some nice, intermediate, touchdown at the end, the touchdown at the end might have been the only one. I don't know if
they hit a ball to Zay Jones. It was probably 25 yards on that drive, where he had a really nice catch. But it was just like the playing not to lose stuff has killed them every time they've done it. And I'm not saying you need to go be Wink Martindale, who also, and that's the other irony. Oh, this is new. The Ravens never blah, blah. Like last year, we're complaining they're not closing games out because they're going all out blitz. So it feels like this was a performance where they're not executing the ability to be medium, the ability to be balanced within their.
Your audio was coming through really weird there. I don't know if everyone else heard that, but that was bizarre. But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with you too, where it's like it's tough to even talk about because we have been talking about the same stuff. But I think the conversation had to be had, and like I don't think he's necessarily going to get fired. But like, if it comes down to like, well, it's just not going to get fixed, and it fucks them over again, like in a big spot, then I think it is going to be time in the offseason to make the change, which I think would probably be like, a realistic thing to happen anyway, because you always make the point that 4 years, 5 years, that's a long time for an offensive coordinator to be in one place. And so I don't know, man. It's certainly a we're going to see situation. No idea what to think, but it was a tough watch at times. It's just really frustrating, and I don't know. I would like to see it fixed. I'd like to see them go quicker. I'd like to see them have more urgency. I'd like to see them have more of a killer instinct, and that's pretty much my piece on that. What did you make of Jackson's post game presser? He was as fired up as I think we've ever seen.
I actually didn't see any of it.
Okay, well, yeah, your audio is still coming through very strangely here. Maybe back out and come back in.
How's that? Are we alive? Nope.
Yeah, you still sound like a robot. But yeah, I don't know. Not sure what's going on with his audio there. So I guess I can just kind of keep this rolling, and then we'll see if we can get him back in and see what's going on. But yeah, defensive side of the ball, he's absolutely right that things just kind of fell apart at the end there. And I think that's a conversation where people get mad, and they specifically get mad about the investment on the defense, and they say like, oh, well, you invested this much in defense, then X, Y, and Z should happen. But I think I'll defend the defense a little bit in saying that their investments are Marlon Humphrey, big time. Their investments are Kyle Hamilton, who's not out there big time. So that's a big part of it. And Brandon Stevens got off to a nice start in this game, but then he started to get victimized a little bit. Marcus Peters, I'll still defend the guy because he still makes plays, but he is getting victimized a little bit here and there. He is kind of the weak link of that starting cornerback duo or trio right now. And they're certainly as dominant as they've been over the last couple weeks. I think there are still going to be some spots that are going to be gettable with this defense. And I think we saw them got down the stretch there.
Is my audio in effect?
Yeah, you don't sound like the
Tin Man or whatever the hell was going on there
anymore.
Yeah, defensively, again, it was just that it felt like they made at the end of the day they made the play, the strip sack, and oh, how sweet would it have been if they could have just fallen on the football. Everyone's in the comments, oh, it's a team loss. It's a team loss. Yeah, sure, but at the end of the day, it comes down to you're playing in a close game in the fourth quarter, and what side of the ball got it done. They almost, and hey, you can say, oh, there's comments in here. Oh, well, they should have taken a timeout. Oh, I don't really like blowing timeouts when I'm not sure if I'm going to get the ball back. Sure. In hindsight, it didn't really feel like it mattered. They took they called a timeout at one point ahead of the 2-point conversion. They called a timeout. And guess what? They motioned Zay Jones over to Brandon Stevens. The Achilles heel of the defense is every cornerback not named Marlon Humphrey. You don't have Marcus Williams in there. You don't have Kyle Hamilton in there, who's been playing a lot of cornerback effectively, playing in the slot, playing in the nickel, playing in that kind of role. And it burned them, and they got scared and called scared. And I feel like it was, and Justin Houston mentioned communication. That's something that I can't analyze necessarily without knowing the whole sort of, PFF knowing versus not knowing, whatever. But Marlon Humphrey goes down, they score. And you have Brandon Stevens out there, you have Pepe Williams out there, you have Marcus Peters out there. And Marcus Peters is like playing football, but not playing cornerback, is what it feels like. It feels like he is playing like independent of technique and independent of coverage. And every time something happens, it's like, he's all up in arms that he let up a catch, but he's not playing the ball. He's not like, it's very strange. I don't know. So it's in a weird spot. And yes, in the comments here, yes, they scored 14 points off of turnovers. Okay, they punched the ball in when they were having trouble doing it. And again, they launched a deep ball after Devin Duvernay. Devin Duvernay had a horrible game as a returner even. Like, they were never going to win this game.
I don't know if he was –
the ball was kicked off. They were never going to win. Devin Duvernay is like not making sure that touchbacks happen. He's taking the ball and running. The one thing I've always complimented Devin Duvernay on is that he's not your typical returner who likes to lose yardage or deviate from his path. With the game on the line, he decides to field a return and then takes off across, like as much as I've ever seen him do on a kick return in my life. Gets tackled on the 5-yard line. So they beat themselves. And that's why fans are frustrated, because they should win these games. They should have won. They should have beaten whoever the last team they lost to was. They don't lose games. I mean, hey, I don't want to take away from Trevor Lawrence. He did throw a couple absolute daggers late, and Lamar brought that up, I know, in the press conference. But yeah, you can play the blame game so many ways. Exactly. That's what everybody loves to do. It's the most fun activity at the end of the day when they lose. Who's going to get the blame? Who deserves the most blame? Whatever. I was happy with what I saw that they overcame, and what I saw from Lamar, at least.
It was. Yeah. And like you were kind of hitting on, like it was kind of a Murphy's Law game for them a little bit, which sucks because like they had one against the Giants. It felt like earlier this year. I think they played worse in that Giants game than they did in this one. But man, like Lawrence was hitting some throws that like quarterbacks just don't hit a lot. Like he played really, really well. Gus Edwards,
the game of his life.
Gus Edwards, how often does he fumble? Like not often. Devin Duvernay was drunk at return specialist out there. Like I don't know what he was doing, and like he is like I will defend that guy 100 times out of 100. He just had a bad game, which doesn't happen. And when all that combines with the issues that we talked about, injuries, we can throw those in there as well with the defensive side of the ball, the offense shooting themselves in the foot, which you kind of have to budget for at this point a little bit. Then you're going to lose, and you're on the road, and you know it sucks. But once again, we are 7-4, still a manageable schedule. I don't think like all these people that were talking about them winning out and getting the 1 seed, I was never really buying into that to begin with. So this is where you're at. You're 7-4.
1 or 2 losses. And again, it's expectation versus what happens. Setting expectations for yourself and then getting so disappointed when your expectation isn't the reality.
They have 7 wins.
Yes, Baltimore Sports Providence here. They have beat themselves all year. When does it stop? They are first in their division still.
They got 7 wins, 4 losses. Like they haven't beat themselves all year. Like that's just
they are coming off of what, a 4-game win streak. They were just on the longest win streak in the NFL heading into this week, and it's over now. So,
I mean, yeah, like if they lose to Denver, then yeah, go ahead and panic, and they'll be 7-5. Like we'll talk about
it. Isn't going to happen. Mortal lock. And again, the stupidest part of all of it was that, I mean, football's not fixed, but it's not influenced, and just the Maryland sportsbook stuff. I'm just an idiot. Like, I actually didn't even really lose that much money. I did.
You lose your ass. How'd that go?
I did all of the bonuses, all of the promo bets, all of the opt-in. I put $5 on every single one. Mark Andrews to have 60 yards and a touchdown, and Lamar Jackson to also have.
Yeah, they had those little combo packages, the parlay.
Yep. I did all the promos. It was fun. I've never done those because I've never been in the studio. When I've bet through nefarious methods in the past, I don't get those. I usually am on the money line and the spread and maybe a little parlay here and there.
It's gonna be the Ari Gold. Prepare to enter the poorhouse, you little bitch.
Exactly. So. That was just, I don't know. In hindsight, it was like a hilarious game. Like you said, when does Gus Edwards fumble? When does Devin Duvernay have a 5-yard kick return on his own means? Like, whatever. And then what are we going to get all week? Oh my God, they called a fullback screen on 2nd and 14 in the first half of the football game. What the fuck? Also, not for nothing, they were a football about 3 yards in the air shy of winning this fucking thing with Justin Tucker. Like, I mean, and that's why it brings me back to how insane what Sammy Watkins did last year was, and how with it he was to go upfield. Then Josh Oliver, I'm not blaming him. It just takes that level of mental acumen to be like, we have a timeout. Hopefully I get down with about 3 or 2 seconds left. Hopefully I thought it was kind of a weird call because like you're going to burn a lot of time, because Ricard burned a little bit of time on his return when he got the squib to, but that got him to the 40. So that was good. Then it was kind of a weird call to like, okay, let's put a ball in the guy's hand and then have him run. And then he's getting out of bounds. It's like, you have a timeout, 2 timeouts, and you're not going to be able to run you're not going to be able to run 2 more plays.
Yeah. It's like, just send it and try to like, get as many yards as possible. And like, I also probably would have preferred a faster guy there than Oliver, but Oliver had a big day. You got to give him a lot of credit in his game. And
Oliver revenge game.
Yeah, it would have been nice if Tuck had another miracle in him. And God damn it, that thing was tracking. Like I said, if that was a 64-yarder, it probably goes in. So that's just I mean, no, people don't want to hear this, and I totally get it. I'm pissed off about aspects of this game too, but that's just the way the ball bounces sometimes with this sport, man. It's a fucking weird.
Chiefs lost to the Colts this year.
It's infuriating. The Chiefs lost to the Colts.
The Commanders dominated the Eagles on primetime football.
Yeah, I mean, the Bengals have, I think, had their tough losses and they're within the division. So it's going to happen. You got to get them out of the way. Got to get that poison out. And yeah, I mean, you got a winnable game at home next week. Lamar Jackson seems as pissed off as he's ever been. And like you've continued to point out, he played well down the stretch in this game. So, you know,
The Bengals lost by 20 points to the Browns.
yeah, be pissed off, take your 24 hours, do what you got to do. But just we're still on this ride, man. We got to, you know, this you must be this tall, and we got a long way to go on this thing yet still. So hang in there and, you know, do what you got to do.
100%. And hopefully Kyle Hamilton comes back. Marcus Williams coming back. Something's got to happen with the cornerbacks. It is the Achilles heel of the defense in terms of, like I said, Marcus Peters is playing football, not cornerback. Brandon Stevens, love the guy to death for the story of the running back into the DB and all those things, but it's just like, God damn it, couldn't have Fuller just stayed healthy?
Yeah, and it feels like
you can never have enough corners, as Ozzie Newsome said. They have to figure something out there. There will be another get. There will be a play. This is what I'm going to exit with, essentially. There is going to be a playoff game where one of Marlon Humphrey or Kyle Hamilton or another essential secondary DB is out. You need to figure out who can be productive there. And I don't think it's going to be either. Like I said, where am I going to attack this defense? If Kyle Hamilton's out, I'm attacking right around in between the numbers and the hashes and the slot seams, which they did. The Jaguars did very well. And then I'm going to pick on Marcus Peters. He's coming off of an ACL. He's an older player. And it just feels like that is the real Achilles heel of this team in general to me right now. And I don't like what I saw today. I don't feel good about it. And that is going to happen in the playoffs.
Yeah, no, that's 100% accurate. And, you know, all the people that are kind of waiting for the playoffs and like waiting for that other shoe to drop because of philosophy and what have you, like maybe you're licking your chops right now. And I guess I understand. And we'll see. I mean, we'll see if they even make it into the playoffs. So like I said, a long way to go. So yeah, I guess that's all you got, unless you want to fire off a few more takes here.
I don't know what else there is, man. It's just like they won on third down. They took leads, all that stuff. They did it all. It was hopeful. Like you hope that it's the relapse to hit rock bottom in some ways. It's a come to Jesus moment. Offensively, stop fucking around and get a play in. Greg Roman, stop. It's not going to. Like, I just know that these things, that's why I hate complaining about these things and having so much discourse about these things, because they're not going to stop. It's not going to stop. And then we're just going to talk about it again. So I don't know. They never have enough cornerbacks, and they've had issues getting plays in for 4 years. So fucking somebody pinch Greg Roman on the arm, and like John Harbaugh, I don't know if he's just a grandpa now. I don't know, but fucking scream. You got to scream at Greg Roman, man. Like, I don't know if they have, who knows? Who knows if they've ever gotten into a heated conversation or something, but he's got to be like, this is why it even frustrates me even more. We blame Roman. Harbaugh is on the line. Greg, get a play in. Greg, get a play in. Greg, get a play in. Just say it 50 times. Stop messing around, man. Get a play in. Just pick something. Harbaugh is on the line. He has the ability. He said it in press conferences. He has the ability. And that's why all of the Roman hate, all of those things, it's like it all ends up coming back to the head guy, the head man in charge, and it's John Harbaugh. You need to make sure that doesn't happen again. And hey, maybe they do fire Roman. That's kind of what we started with, but cornerback, figure something out. I don't know what to say. I don't know what you do. You can hide him. Marcus Williams will help. You're going to have to put Marlon Humphrey on an island. And I think the answer is to stop putting Marlon Humphrey inside. You can't keep putting Marlon Humphrey inside. It is easier to combo coverage inside and put Marlon Humphrey on an island than it is to match these other things and put Brandon Stevens out. Like, as soon as Zay Jones went in motion against Brandon Stevens, I was like, oh, it's over. He's got a two-way go. He was in a nice alignment, and he had the momentum. I was like, oh,
you're getting into robot territory there. Yeah, not sure what's going on with that. I think you did this motion, and then it kind of started, and then it like slowly. So I think you're like hitting something there. But yeah, no, I mean, I guess I can close this out on that. But you're absolutely right in all that you said. And to what you were originally talking about there, you can, if you're John Harbaugh, have the uncomfortable conversations and get into the shouting matches of get your play in and fix this fucking shit, or you can have the uncomfortable conversation of firing his fucking ass. Like it just comes down to that, like, you know, and I hate to be crass there, but that's just what it comes down to. You get paid to do this stuff. John, you're my guy. Start managing that situation one way or the other. And then, defensively, you're absolutely right. To me, it does just kind of come down to getting healthy, get Hamilton, get Williams back into the mix, do what you got to do with Marlon Humphrey, which you're going to be able to, the healthier you get, I think. And cornerback, you're kind of boned when he's not out there, unfortunately, as we're learning. But that's pretty much all we got. Thank you guys for listening. A frustrating one here, but this guy, you know, much to the chagrin of some listening and some out there on the Twitterverse, not falling quite yet, as the Ravens are 7-4 along with the Bengals. So Broncos coming to town next week. We do got to pimp our little meetup that we're doing at Pickett Brewing Company. Let me actually go ahead and find the details here just so I can get them all into the show. This is great radio, going back through your timeline, actually, to see if I can find it. But yeah, it's going to be a good time. It is going to be a meetup featuring us, featuring Cole Jackson of Two Guys Watching Football, featuring Kevin Ostreicher of Locked On Ravens, and featuring Bobby Trossett, who's kind of doing his own thing now. So yeah, like I said, Pickett Brewing Company at 1130 South Paca Street in downtown Baltimore. It's a couple blocks away from the stadium. So if you're planning on tailgating anyway, maybe park nearby and make your way over. That starts at 10 a.m. It's going through noon. So yeah, just a casual little meetup. It's going to be a lot of fun. Couple beers with the boys. I think Bobby's going to have a live stream going. And we'll be popping in and out of that. And it'll be a good time to talk some ball. Finally meet up with a lot of beautiful people. We haven't actually ever done a meetup in the, I guess, 3+ years we've been doing this. So that'll be a first for us, and it'll be a lot of fun. So go ahead and you don't have to even get a ticket or anything. Just go ahead and show up, and it'll be a lot of fun. And until then, you can follow us on social media at Podcast Beatdown on Twitter. You can find me at Jake Luke. That's LOUQUE. Spencer is at Ravens 4 Dummies. That is the number 4. Until next time, we will talk to you guys.
Robot, see ya.
Arrivederci.
Where is the wise man? Where is the scholar? Where is the philosopher of this age? Get down! Baltimore!
What are they giving? Everything out of me. They gonna get a Super Bowl out of me. Believe that. Believe that.